Hi, I'm Angel. I wanted you to see my face and see that I was real before we start talking about self-care tonight. So thank you for joining me, and I will share my screen now and we will get started. All right, here we go. So elevate your self-care for hormonal balance. Um, I am not a medical doctor nor a psychiatrist. The views of this workshop are not my own. And please, I'm a doctor, but I'm not your doctor. So don't make any changes to your medications or supplements without speaking to your healthcare provider. And the FDA wants me to let you know that this is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent disease. So let's get started. Well, who am I? I am Angel. I'm a mom. I'm a wife. I have been where you have been. I was a burned out educator. My adrenals were a mess. That meant I had no energy. My thyroid was a mess. I was insulin resistant. Just everything that could go wrong went wrong. But I actually decided to turn that around and I became a traditional naturopath. And in the last 14 years, I've seen about 7,000 clients. And my passion is to help women with their health. And I particularly hone in on thyroid because I find that that is an area that so many women are actually experiencing issues with, but conventional doctors don't see it that way. So that's something we will talk about in a few minutes. But right now, we're going to talk about self care. So, self care is engaging, it's engaging in practices to reduce stress and maintain long term health. It's showing yourself that you are worthy and deserving of care. And this is a big one a lot of us have. We want to take care of everybody else, but we don't think we are deserving of that care. And then it's choosing good behaviors and not just good behaviors once in a while, but every day, consistent behaviors. So you'll hear me as I talk through my social medias and through today is pick one habit and make that a consistent habit for you. That's really where things change. Okay. So don't doing everything all at once isn't going to change. It's those consistent everyday habits really make a difference. And we can choose to do that. And I have to make myself list. I have to do this too. So it's something we continuously have to choose ourselves. So it is not self-care is not neglecting yourself because of everybody else. It's not ignoring your needs because you're too stressed. Okay, we are all stressed, and that is how we get out of stress is by taking care of ourselves. And it is not selfish to self-care, okay? You've heard the term or the saying that you can't pour from an empty cup. Everybody's heard that, right? So you got to put the thing in the mask on when you're in the airplane. Everybody's heard all these things, but it's true. And it's not selfish to take care of yourself. So is it always good to put yourself last? No. Here's the hint there. There are so many people that need help that it can feel like there is no end, right? So you're helping one person, then somebody else needs your help. But if you don't take care of yourself, you're going to run out of energy for everybody else. And then helping others might not seem so good anymore if you literally can't help yourself. Does that make sense? Like what good are you to anybody else? So, stress. Stress is one of those interesting things that for me, something may stress me out like this roller coaster, but for you, it may be the most fun ever. That's the choice between me and my daughter. She loves that. I freak out on that. But it's one of the biggest reasons that people don't practice in self-care habits. So it's important to understand how stress contributes to these unhealthy habits. So let's look at this. So it's about how we react to a stressor. Many people react by failing to take care of themselves. So this is actually stress or reaction is, I'm not going to take care of myself. Now, it's not a conscious thought you have, but that's just what you have so many things to do. How can you add taking care of yourself onto that list? So long-term stress is bleak, and I kind of wanted this page to look bleak, right? These all look at all of these physical manifestations of stress, chronic pain, weight gain or weight loss, immune system issues, blood pressure issues, substance abuse, panic attacks, social withdrawal, all of these things. There's a ton here, depression, so many things that long-term stress can cause. So if we can take care of ourselves in these consistent daily or at least weekly habits, it's really going to make a difference for our long-term stress. So, why is it so difficult for us? Well, depression can make it hard for us to take care of ourselves. It does take work and time. So, by the time you get home, shop for food, take for meals, take care of your kids, there's nothing left, right? Shame about whether you deserve the care, like we talked about earlier, you do deserve it no matter what. And confusing self-care with indulgence. There is a difference there. Okay. So we don't have to go out and pay thousands of dollars for self-care. And consistency makes habits. Again, and we're going to talk about that over and over again. Add one in there. Now, this is something I see a lot with my clients is that we have to learn how to reduce drama and stress in our lives that just don't have any, that aren't even ours. Does that make sense? So, try not to add drama when you're having conversations with other people. If you know something's going to trigger somebody, just don't bring it up, right? um, don't judge yourself and other, but if you do create drama, don't judge yourself for it. Just let it go. And a lot of times the way to do that is just practice a news fast. If you quit looking at the news for a little while or only look at the headlines, that's what I tend to do. I'll look at the top 3 headlines and then I kind of move on. Because if it's more important enough, it'll get to you. But if it's going to stress you out, you don't want to deal with that either, right? So, some rituals and that we can think about. Rituals, when we think about them, usually we think about them in a spiritual aspect, but it can also be a secular aspect as well. But when we think about them in spiritual, we think about prayer and religious worship and spiritual ceremonies, things like that. When we're thinking about secular rituals, it's parades, family picnics, a daily walk, something that you do purposefully, whether it's exercise or something else as a family. Maybe Sunday dinners could be rituals. So they're a way to increase our connectedness with meaning and with other people. And there's 5 basic elements of it. There's an intention, so there's a purpose, like we said before. So purpose of your Sunday dinner to get the whole family together, or maybe it's just your friends, but that's okay. Your friends are your family too. Then a sequence that has a beginning, middle, and end. Maybe people say something at the beginning, and then you eat, and at the end there's a presentation or something. Who knows? It's done somewhere that you consider sacred. That could be your dining room. It could be your backyard. It could be really anywhere you want it to be. Usually there's some sort of ingredients. People will have candles, scents, music, crystals, food, anything like that. And it has personal meaning. So this, it means something you need to do this. So it's not sitting down at the table, everybody's on their phones. That's not a ritual. It's a ritual is when there's meaning there and we have a purpose to it. So music can actually help you when you're trying to think about your self-care. So maybe you make some music or you make some art. That a lot of times will make you feel better, help you relax, make you feel connected to something better. And making music or art, even if you're doing it completely alone, if you share it somehow, that brings joy to other people. I cannot make music, I cannot make art, anything, not anything that people want to listen to or watch anyway. But I love looking at others. So when I'm seeing somebody put their art out there, it makes me so happy. So you can bring art, happiness to somebody and not even know it. And that brings joy back to you eventually, for sure. Something we talk about a lot is meditation. Now, meditation doesn't have to be 20 to 30 minutes. I put that down at the bottom. If you meditate for 20, 30 minutes a day, it can change how your body responds to stress. But listen, 3 minutes can work. Okay. So we want to calm your body. Before I did this today, I went and I put a timer on and I just sat for 5 minutes and I tried to keep any kind of thoughts out of my head at all, just to help me balance myself for the day. Another thing I try to do every day is breathe with intention. So we breathe all the time, but we don't breathe with intention much. So during that 5 minutes, I was doing a lot of that. I try to make it a habit that every time I'm in the bathroom, I will actually take 3 meaningful, deep breaths. I feel like it helps reset me again before I come out into the world. Or if I'm home alone, it just helps me reset from what I'm about to do. So I talk about sleep a lot. Establishing a consistent bedtime routine is self-care. So I would love to see you in bed by 10 p.m. Okay. That gives your body time to align with the natural circadian rhythms. It also allows your body to clean at night. Your body does all this cleaning at night. It cleans everything out and it can't do that if you're awake. Okay. So we need that body sleeping. Hormones can function properly when we do this. It's just one of the best things I could do. And if you go to bed earlier, go to bed earlier. I'm one of those people, I love to go to bed when it's dark and get up when it's light, but I actually probably go to bed before it's even dark. So, but no matter what, I want you looking at the sun. So maybe you're an exerciser. If you are, try to do it outside every once in a while so you can get those receptors, right? So when you're spending time outside, particularly in the morning, they have little receptors in your eye that can tell where you're at in the circadian rhythm. And so that helps your body decide where it's happening. So it says, oh, it's morning. Let me get the cortisol going. So that gets your energy going. If you go out midday, it says, oh, okay, we know we're at now. If you go out before you go to bed, then it can start that melatonin going that helps you to go to sleep, right? So looking outside, if the weather is inclement, if it's not nice outside, too cold, too hot, rainy, whatever, at least look out the window. There's always the way you can get some of that in there to get those receptors knowing where you're at in the day. Okay. And 10 minutes in the morning is ideal, but if you can only do a couple of minutes, do what you can. All right. Your sleep will thank you, by the way. Balancing your blood sugar for stress as well. This is another way of self-care, and we all eat, right? So this is just a way of tweaking your eating to help you for self-care. And somebody may think you're crazy, but you can say, I'm taking care of myself. So you want to eat protein for your first meal of the day. Think 15 to 30 grams of protein. So an egg, I got an egg over there, is going to be about 6 grams of protein. Okay, think about it that way. A lot of times I will eat things that I ate the night before dinner. You're going to want to avoid liquid sugars. Think sweet tea, sodas, ice cream, sport drinks. So the whole point of both of these things is not to have blood sugar spikes. When we have blood sugar spikes, it causes our body stress and our body does not feel safe. And when our body feels safe, all our hormones go crazy and it's not a good thing. So eating protein helps us set that baseline for the day for the blood sugar so it's not popping around all through the day. Avoiding those liquid sugars actually help that as well because it keeps those pops from coming up, right? So none of us want those pops. So here's some things that you can do. These, you can eat these actually anytime, but look at the breakfast proteins over here. You know, there's eggs. I'll have protein powder sometimes. I'll have leftover meat or fish a lot. Nuts and seeds are kind of always part of my diet. And then there's some nut butters. Sometimes I'll eat those, sausage, ground meat. Then we've got these healthy fats as well. These are going to help keep us full, and they're really good for our hormones as well. I eat an avocado every day. I'll probably eat nuts every day too. I actually put coconut oil in my protein powder. So that's always a good option. Olives are a huge part of my life. I love olives. I'm a ghee person because I try to stay away from dairy, but I put ghee and salmon, and there's seeds again. So seeds are on both sides if you see that. So that's always a good option, is to eat some nuts and seeds. And if you're someone who is still cycling, get in touch with me and I can give you some information on seed cycling, which both of these fit into for protein and fat, but they also help you with your estrogen and progesterone levels, depending on which ones you're using. So get in touch with me on that. So self-care also means keeping up with your health. And one of the biggest things, as I talked about earlier, was keeping up with your thyroid. Hold on just one second. So just being a woman, unfortunately, makes you susceptible to hypothyroidism. Genetics is another thing. So a lot of us have issues. I rarely go a day that I don't talk to a woman who has somebody in their family that doesn't have hypothyroidism or some sort of thyroid issue. So this is definitely something that we see a lot of. Symptoms are things like fatigue, either gaining weight or losing weight, or can't lose weight, constipation. These top three are the biggest ones I see. Dry skin, hair loss. Sometimes they're having difficulty swallowing, or they're hoarse. Their voice has literally changed. Vertigo, heart palpitations. So all of these things can actually be symptoms of thyroid. So we want to do a baseline comprehensive thyroid panel at age 20 and every 5 years after that. That is my recommendation. That way, you know when things are changing early. So unfortunately, when your thyroid gets bad enough, you get put on thyroid medication. And most of the time, you cannot get off that thyroid medication. So you're on a medication the rest of your life. So my mission is to keep people off medication and get them naturally balanced. Now, if you are on medication, my goal is not to get you off medication. So please know that. But my goal is just to help people balance their thyroid before it gets to a point where they have to get on medication. So these are the components that you want in a comprehensive thyroid panel, okay? So you want these 2 antibodies. This is going to tell you whether you have Hashimoto's, which is an autoimmune disease, or Graves', which is an autoimmune disease. Either one of these is helpful to know. If you have an autoimmune disease, which 90% of people with hypothyroid have autoimmune disease, okay? We need to know that because there's other things we need to do to help support your body. They also need to check TSH, free T3, reverse T3. I find reverse T3 is rarely checked, but I find that it is a component that is awesome for seeing if you're about to go into any hypothyroidism. So all these other ones can be right, but that reverse T3 can be our indicator. Oh, this is fixing a turn. Then free T3 and total T4. So take a picture of this, ask your doctor to run these for you. You can get a conventional doctor to run these, but you really want to get somebody who is familiar with this kind of thing to actually look at it. And most conventional doctors are not. And here we'll talk about this what now. So conventional testing versus functional testing and reading actually of these labs. So when we're looking at conventional, they're more disease centered. They're looking for a disease. So when they're looking at your blood work, they look at your thyroid and they're looking at usually your TSH and your T4, and they're saying, okay, you do not fall within these parameters, so you do not have a disease. which is correct and good, right? We don't want you in disease, but you may be right outside of those parameters where your thyroid is not working optimally. But so we can work on it naturally with lifestyle and diet suggestions and sometimes supplements to get it where it needs to be. Right. So that's where we want to work before you get into that disease state. But conventional medicine, they're looking to manage the disease. Everyone is treated the same. They look at for as few as markers as possible for insurance and cost reasons. So that's why some doctors will run these tests for you, some will not. I can run those for you. I just don't take insurance. So if you want those ran, just get a hold of me and I can give you the amount. They're not very expensive and we can get those ran for you. Usually what people come in and tell me, that doctor told them your numbers look great. Nothing is wrong with your thyroid. You look awesome. And I look at it and and they tell me, hey, I still think something's wrong. I'm having all these symptoms. There's not something not right. So a lot of times I look at them, there's usually at least one or two components in the thyroid that aren't right. The other thing that is really interesting is I will find things like, and this isn't just a normal blood work, like complete blood counts, things like that. You see where they have possible parasites or they have a low grade infection that hasn't been taken care of. When things like that happen, that affects the thyroid as well. So we can get rid of those things. It helps that thyroid work better. So when we're talking functionally or alternatively, we're talking about an optimal health centered. How can we make that thyroid or whatever organ we're working on optimal? We want to prevent or even reverse it, right? We want to get that better than it was. Personalized plans. So we don't put you on the same medication, the same dosage for everybody. We're looking at different things. What's working for you? What have you tried before? And then we're also looking for root cause. And that goes back to when I was talking about, are there any low grade infections? Are there other things going on? Are your adrenals not looking like they're supposed to? Is your insulin level not where it's supposed to be? There's so many things that kind of come into that we can look at that are upstream from thyroid that we can say, this is causing this. And this is why the thyroid is acting that way. So subclinical hypothyroidism, that's the sweet spot for me. That's what I'm looking at. And that's what I see over the last 14 years. That is what I've seen more than anything is women coming in with this issue and really needing help. So hormones definitely are complicated. I can be your guide. I have a program called Hormone Heaven. I work with you to balance your hormones using my signature 6-month framework. The testing involved is functional blood chemistry analysis. And this is what, like I was talking about earlier, you can actually get a lot of it done through your doctor or through your insurance. If you can't, I can order stuff for you pretty much anywhere in the United States. There are a few exceptions. And I also use something called hair tissue mineral analysis, which tells us where your minerals are in your body. Since minerals are the spark plug for your hormones, we need to know that your minerals are balanced. It also tells us if you have any heavy metals hanging out. Heavy metals can actually get into our hormone receptors and cause imbalances as well. So this tells us that so we can get a really good, in these two tests, we can get a really good idea where everything is in your body so that we can start boosting your energy, balancing your blood sugar, getting rid of those toxins and repairing your gut, supporting that thyroid, and finally the sex hormones. And the reason that is the last one is because when we're talking about a hormone hierarchy, the sex hormones will react to everything that's below it. So they're reacting to that energy, the blood sugar, the thyroid, the gut. So a lot of times when we get all those things fixed up, the sex hormones, the problems you were having like with your period or fertility are suddenly fixed, right? So definitely a cool way to do it. All right, so my Hormone of Heaven includes text coaching. Also, we get some calls, hair tissue mineral analysis. It includes that actually in it, so you don't have to worry about going that anywhere else. The cost of it is included. Homework Heaven framework personalized to you. I'm working with you personally. It's not in group coaching. Discounted supplements and functional testing, and it starts at less than $9 a day currently. This is in 2024 right now. So if you are looking at me for anything, if you just want some resources, you can reach out. The best place to go is alternativehealthwithangel.com. That is my website. You can also find me on Facebook and Instagram at Alt Health Angel. I tend to hang out more in these stories there. On LinkedIn at Angel Hill DNM. DNM stands for Doctor of Natural Medicine. And I also have a Facebook group called Hormone Heaven. So if you have any questions, thank you so much for coming today. I appreciate this. I like to get a lot of information out quickly to people so that they can listen to it, digest it, and come back for more. If you have any questions, please reach out to me. Thank you so much.